Oh, hey everybody. Welcome back to Dorchester class. This is Night Call, part 2. Where we left off, we were a taxi driver in France. My French was terrible. I tried an awful British accent, and then I gave up on it after a while. And then we're just trying to piece together a mystery. Alright, let's get back into it, shall we? At the foot of your front door, just behind the drain pipe, you notice an envelope. It's thick and heavy. You can just make out your name, written in thick black marker on the front. Your real name. You take a deep breath and go inside. In the envelope, you find more information, just as Bassett promised. You lay them on the table. I think this was, I guess it didn't end the night before, right? Probably. Yeah. Last time I did Victim 3. Let's do Victim 1 this time. Man, I gotta get all this stuff back in order. Give me a second. Okay, we'll see if I can try to keep this in some kind of order here. So we got the victims and things. Justice, what's new? Victims killed with one bullet in the neck. Death execution. Spent bullet case. Killer left a message in chalk on first 3 crime scenes. So, 1, 2, 3, right? Or are these the suspects? I've still, even through editing, I was like, duh, it's one thing and not the other. I have no clue. I guess these are the suspects, right? I just haven't run into any of them again yet. That would make sense. I don't know. Let's keep going forward. With a heavy hand, you wipe your tired face. You slowly open the sofa bed and lie down. The events of the day run through your head. The streets, the passengers, their faces, their problems. Your brain is running at full speed. Your body aches, and you are in pain. You can tell you need to get more sleep. You hope to find more information, even tonight, as soon as you wake up. You shake your head, and your mind wanders for a second. A second later, you're asleep. That's cool. It actually kept the board organized like how I had it. That's neat. You open one eye. Someone flushes the toilet, and you hear the pipes shake. One of them runs under your bed. You hear the sound, calming. You find the sound, calming. You get up quickly. And a few minutes later, you're outside of your studio. Night 3. This is where I probably should have done, and then waited for like a load screen. Whatever. It is what it is. Ooh, I got a bunch of information. Any of my suspects out and about? I think that person was just there the other night, right? Actually, let's hit up Xavier first, shall we? I still think Xavier has something to do with being a killer. Gonna need a taxi soon. I have to try to remember his voice. You pull up next to the sidewalk in a calm, nondescript alleyway. No sign of your passenger. The cobblestones gleam calmly under the street lamps. A cat jumps from one building to another. 2 men are fighting in the shadows. You sit up abruptly. Something is shining in the darkness. One of those Japanese sabers just reflected off a street lamp. You put a hand on that door handle, ready to run. The saber falls to the ground and the sound rings through the alley. One of the two men crumples. The other walks towards your taxi with determination. At the very last minute, just as the door is about to open, you recognize the passenger from before, the one who thinks he's a superhero. We can go. Same address as last time. He appears to be out of breath, but his voice is calm and poised. Start driving. You put your foot on the accelerator. Behind you in the rearview mirror, you can see lights in several apartments flick on.
Apparently, the fight woke up some of the neighbors. He stops, out of breath.
Everything okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. He tenses his muscles. His chest inflates. He catches his breath. In the space of a few seconds, his heartbeat has returned to normal.
I'm sorry, but
Another deep breath.
I think I shit my pants a little.
Hard to say since he has a mask on, but you're pretty sure he's looking straight in the eyes. He's looking you straight in the eyes.
Don't you worry. There are no marks. I was just so scared. When he pulled his katana out, man, I was like, that's it, it's over. You had a good life, and now he's gonna cut you up like a turkey. But actually, I handled it.
He pauses, nods. You sense him sitting up straighter.
Yeah, I handled it. I handled the hell out of it.
A katana?
It's a kind of Japanese saber, you see. I didn't think he'd actually have that kind of weapon. Those guys aren't Japanese at all, actually.
He tilts his head, lost in thought for a short moment.
I'm investigating a sort of organization, like mob types, you know? They're forcing kids to work in this squat. They're sorting through jewelry, wallets. Sometimes they're sent out to panhandle. Girls are sent to... I mean, you get the gist, right? But the police aren't going to do anything about it.
Typical.
You think?
You nod.
I don't know. I think there's something else to it. First off, the kids aren't French. The organization is tied to the Albanians, and this not-so-nice German guy. They have ties with an extreme right-wing organization with connections to 2 police captains. I came to get photos. I want to alert the press.
Outside, an ambulance crosses your path. No sirens, no lights. It almost looks like a moving van.
And while I was going about my business, that guy jumped me with his katana. Scared me to death.
He pauses for a while. His body is radiating heat. Any hotter, and he'd start to smoke.
Say nothing.
He clears his throat.
What I'm about to say will probably sound pretty weird, okay?
Another breath. This one is deep and long, almost moving.
Since I've been chasing this organization down, I really feel like I'm doing something useful. Like I really can make a difference. And shit, that makes it all worth it.
He pauses.
Would it be okay if I just got some shut-eye for the rest of the trip? I think I need to...
He falls asleep mid-sentence. You crack your window to let some fresh air in.
You quack your window. Ugh.
The trip continues in silence, with you at the wheel and the masked hero in the back seat. What if you'd taken martial arts classes? What if you had known how to defend yourself? Maybe that night, you shake your head. There's no point thinking about it. He or she snuck up on you, attacked you from behind. You still have about 10 minutes left before reaching your destination. Muley always has the same effect on you. What a surprise. You're surprised at being reminded how much of this town next to Paris. Calm, pointless, unremarkable, boring as hell. At long last, you pull up in front of the driveway you dropped your passenger off at last time. He wakes with a start. Already? You grin. Yes, already.
I could have slept for about 20 more hours.
He glances at your dashboard.
I have an essay to turn in 6 hours from now. Wish me luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
He sighs and stretches for a while. Something in his neck cracks.
Anyway, shower, breakfast, essay, sleep. That's the plan.
He pays the fare and rushes into his building a few seconds later. You sit still, alone. Once the coast is clear, you check in the back seat to make sure it's clean. It is. No trace of blood. You sigh in relief and drive off.
Dry off? From what? You're sitting in your car, you're fine. Hey, you paid me decently this time. Nice. Let's get some gas, I suppose. And I gotta cut around the driving parts because it takes forever. Unless I'm talking to you guys, like now, I'll probably just leave it in because here we are at the gas station.
You pull over and stop at a gas station. Not a soul in sight. The fluorescent lights irritate your eyes, and the smell of pee is wafting up from the space in between the pumps. It's a self-service here. You pay directly at the pump. The mini-mart over there, it must sell newspapers. The person behind the counter must see and hear things. Might be worth asking a couple of questions. You don't quite know why, but Parisian gas stations are always frightening. You check out your surroundings before getting out of the taxi.
Alright, let's fill the tank. Oh. Bada bang. Let's get a newspaper.
You walk into the mini-mart. There's a smell coming off the guy running the shop at the station. Booze. Welcome. He sighs, beyond tired of repeating the same sentence over and over again.
Welcome to Belle Le Pont. Newspaper. So what is it? Well, I mean, I should get a scratch off, right?
Losing ticket. No luck.
Oh, okay, so those are all tickets. Got it. Let's talk with the clerk.
Have you read the papers? He's all they're talking about. Just an offhand comment, casually brought up, about the serial killer. The guy behind the counter seems like he's interested in the case.
Nice. Please come back soon.
The clerk is still in the middle of a sentence when you leave the shop.
Fuck you, buddy. Alright. Let's get in the taxi and leave. Who do we have? Uh-oh. Hold, please. Weird selection problem there. Anyway, okay. So let's see. Oh, no. Oops. Whatever. So I think this is one of the suspitos, right? One of the suspects. I don't know what suspito is. That is nothing in no language ever. Okay, yeah. This is one of the suspects. Cool. And I'm still drunk to drive. All right. Okay.
You pull up in front of the address that the central office gave you. A crepe joint. Quite a popular one by the looks of the line spilling out the door and onto the sidewalk. Say it, don't spray it, Richard. You sit for a moment. The door opens and a group of 30-somethings come into view. All the men and women are dressed alike. Sporty, running shoes, jeans, small shoulder bag. They're officers from the Paris anti-crime squad in plain clothes. You sigh. They're brutish types. Ones who look to race, tackle, clobber. Ones who ruin the afternoons you spent wandering around Paris in your teens. After a bit, one of them pulls away from the group and comes over to your taxi. He opens the door and collapses into the back seat. He's stocky and of Asian descent. You can see his muscles through his thick winter clothes. He looks so ripped. He smells like crepes and hard cider, and his face is bright red.
Hey, what's up? Your turn is.
He chuckles as one of his colleagues rushes over to the taxi and pulls an imaginary gun from his coat. He points to his badge and screams at you with a big smile on his face.
What a douchebag.
The other cop eventually backs off, and you drive away.
Sorry, man. We're having a going away party for a colleague. And celebrating Christmas, too. Say nothing.
He looks at you for a second and sighs.
Don't take it the wrong way. They're not bad guys.
You glance sideways at him. He just laughs in response, but quickly stops himself.
I truly am sorry. We didn't notice how light it had gotten. It's pretty tense right now.
Your passenger smiles, then puts his fingers back on his temples.
I drank too much shit. I'm lightweight, and they knew it. I think they're gonna try to loosen my tongue.
His behavior changes abruptly, like he's just seen a ghost.
One question.
Yes.
Do taxi drivers have some sort of policy or code of ethics?
I'm not sure I understand.
Like a priest's or doctor's? If I tell you something, could you keep it to yourself?
He starts speaking before you even have a chance to reply.
I've been lying to my colleagues for years. Twist, M. Night Shyamalan your ass. I joined the squad 8 years ago, and they all think I'm in a relationship with a woman who lives in Strasbourg. And that we were going to get married. Excuse me.
He makes a strange yelping noise, like an air bubble bursting on the surface of a river.
As soon as they got too close to Strasbourg, I started making up stories. We've almost broken up 10 times. I convinced them that we're trying to have a kid, but it hasn't worked out yet.
He sighs.
Fuck. I'm saying out loud saying it out loud is just the worst. Slow down, Richard. Slow down to read. You don't need to rush through the story.
His eyes are getting shiny.
I'm gay.
A deep breath.
I'm getting married in a few weeks to my boyfriend.
Another breath. Longer. Deeper.
No one at work knows. Not a soul.
The next sentence comes out in a rush. He holds his breath the whole time.
I like men. I've always liked men. But I work in a police station and listen to their comments, to their jokes all day long. When we catch a guy who's never done time before, we tell him briefly what he should expect. We talk about the violence,
Finally, he breathes in again.
I say we because I'm in on it. Because I can say any time of day without any prompting. The word rolls off my tongue completely naturally.
He finally looks you in the eye.
They're not mean.
Who? He shakes his head.
My colleagues aren't mean people. They're cops. Not mean, just doing the job. He manages to... Oops. You know what I'd really like?
He pauses.
I'd like to have them over for dinner. Everybody on the squad. They could see my place. We could go play a board game, something normal, you know? And then they could meet James.
He's your husband-to-be? He takes a moment to think about your question.
Yeah, soon.
He smiles at last. A genuine smile.
Can you believe it? We're getting married in 2 weeks. After living together for 9 years, for 9 years he's been willing to live in a lie.
He understands?
It's wild, but yes. He knows I love my job, and I couldn't possibly do anything else. He loves me enough to keep lying.
He slowly shakes his head.
But I can't go on like this. I have to...
He freezes.
Shit. My head is spinning. I don't feel so good. Why am I telling you this? Why?
He grabs onto the seat in front of him.
Hey, can you pull over?
You stop immediately. He opens the door and leaps at the top half and leans his top half out. You stop immediately. He opens the door and leans the top half of his body out. He throws up. You open your window to air out the greasy smell of fried crepes and the sour scent of cider. A moment later, the cop sits back up.
Okay. I'm all set. I got it all out.
You start driving again.
I'm sorry. Really.
It's alright.
I hate all that. These sausage parties. Cheap alcohol. The lies.
You nod while your passenger moans and quietly says,
I'm sorry. Say nothing. I think that's right in this. He pauses. He pauses. Ladies and gentlemen, he pauses to catch his breath.
He pauses to catch his breath.
Shit. I haven't barfed like that since Easter. They made me drink this South African liquor. Something with cream and cocoa. Nasty. I can still picture it. I was doing shots while they shouted my name. Karate Kid! Karate Kid!
Karate Kid. He seems uncomfortable.
It's my nickname on the squad.
Karate?
Yeah. I was a judo champion. And I'm Asian. So,
he runs his hands along the sides of his body, like he's showcasing it for the Home Shopping Network.
So, Karate Kid. Yeah, I know. It makes no sense. Yeah, I know what you're gonna say. It's racist.
You remain silent.
I can't argue with that. But
he stops.
Everything's spinning again. Can you...
You pull over. A repeat of last time. He opens the door, leans his head out, his torso, his arms. The sound makes your stomach churn, so you stare straight ahead.
Can I ask you a question?
More puke on the sidewalk, and a little inside the vehicle.
Go ahead.
Fine. Shoot. He sits up, prompts you to drive.
So, here goes. What should I do? Should I keep on keeping on? Should I confess? Should I invite them to my wedding and surprise them?
He pauses. It's a long one.
Be straight with me. What would you do if you were me? Like, if you were in my shoes?
I think you're being hard on yourself. You're hurting yourself rather than trying to solve the problem. You're not going to change your sexual orientation or leave your husband. So, there aren't a ton of alternatives.
I don't want him to find a new profession, and he doesn't have to leave here, so he has to tell them, right? Why live a lie? Tell them. Wow. I've got to tell them.
He looks at you in the mirror.
Can you take me somewhere else, if you don't mind?
I don't mind.
My colleagues are at the bar. I'll go see them. Tell them everything? If I don't do it now, then I'll never do it.
A smile of relief spreads across his face. It's not just the alcohol talking?
Yes. But I think it's about the 10th time I've gotten wasted this month. You're right. I'm hurting myself.
He gives you the new address.
I need to tell them, now. I feel terrible, but I think I'll feel better if I speak to them directly.
His headache is apparently back, and he's knocked out a bit. You're used to having drunk people in your cab. Actually, the majority of your Saturday night passengers are drunk.
I don't know how to tell them all about this.
From the tone of his voice, you can tell he's beginning to panic.
I don't think I'm ready. Say nothing.
Your passenger stares hard at you. You can tell your silence is giving him doubts.
I want to go home. He sighs. It's not a good idea to talk to them when my blood alcohol level is so high. Thank you.
The remainder of the ride is long. You can see he's having trouble sitting still. Once or twice, you sense he's about to break and change his mind. Then, nothing. He appears to calm down and remains completely still, lost in his own head. Then, nothing. He appears to calm down and remains completely still, lost in his own head.
Do that over.
You keep an eye on the road. You have almost reached your destination. In the back seat, your passenger is almost asleep. You park in front of a small townhouse. There's a light on upstairs.
He's still up. I'm going to talk to James.
He looks at you.
I don't really remember everything I said, but thanks.
He chuckles.
I hope this taxi ride wasn't just my imagination.
He pays and gets out of the taxi. You listen to his clumsy footsteps on the cobblestones. He climbs up a few steps to the door. Before he has time to find his keys, the door opens. Warm, soft light floods the street. You drive away.
Got a little emotional. Bouncing in between characters. Acting 101. Whatever. So that's cool. So that moves some plot across. Isn't this the cop? I don't know. All right, what's this info going on here? I don't have a lot of money to spend on it, but we'll see what we get. Oh, shit. I should have read the newspaper. I'll do that in a minute.
You park your taxi across from the stadium just a few meters from a 2-story building. It's an odd brick place that clashes with the huge concrete behemoth that is Chartley Stadium.
I know I said that wrong.
You get out of the car and walk to the front door. You knock. You wait a few minutes. Lights come on. And finally, the door finally opens. Marco appears. Marco is a former taxi driver. A strange guy, a bit spacey and different. He's been working at the stadium for a few years now.
Well, shit. You're still alive.
That's Marco. You like him.
I mean, wow. So nice to see you.
Even though he stole your wife.
Come in, come in. You want something to drink? Oh, right. You stopped drinking. Cup of coffee?
You follow him to his caretaker's home. It's pretty nice, despite the filth and mess. He serves you up a cup anyway and sits at a table. You follow suit. The only noise in the room is a TV behind Marco. Before you came by, he was playing a soccer video game. The fans are singing and clapping their hands.
So, what have you been up to?
I have some questions for you. He shakes his head.
No, not yet. Man, seriously, no. The last time I helped you out, I lost my job. The answer is no.
You have no choice and you know it. You owe me this much. Marco drops his head between his shoulders and starts to beg.
I'm telling you, man, I love this job. It's so easy. I get to take care of the stadium that's empty 75% of the time.
He sits up roughly in his chair. Behind him, on the screen, the stadium is going wild. I need information on Ronan Bisson. He straightens up.
Ronan, the coach that got killed by the judge?
The very one.
He was a great guy. Everyone's torn up about it.
Spit it out.
There were rumors. Some parents heard he was a little too hands-on with the kids a while back, if you get my drift. but no one ever looked into it.
Was it true?
I don't know nothing.
He sighs.
A few months ago, Ronan cornered a kid, like, by the showers. You know what I mean? The kid stabbed him in the thigh with a pair of scissors and ran away. The kid's parents weren't sure whether they'd file a complaint. The club's director. The kid's parents weren't sure whether they'd file a complaint. The club director brought Ronan in, and bam! 2 days later, murdered.
Who else knows about this?
About the kid? No one, I think. Well, maybe some of the other parents. I don't know.
You get up. One last thing.
Shit. Yeah, give the name of the victims.
You list the victims. He doesn't react until you mention Charles Bougrand.
Oh, yeah, him. I know him. I mean, everybody knows him. Right-wing extremist son of a bitch. Hold on. What are you doing these days?
I can't say. Marco sits up.
Damn it. I'm gonna get fired.
Easy. His voice speeds up.
Don't tell anyone I told you where I got this information, okay? Sip your coffee in silence.
Marco looks away.
You can really be an ass sometimes.
Vizuvula noise comes on from the TV. Okay, I've got to run. He walks you to the door, mumbling with clenched teeth.
Every time I run into you, you jinx me. Every fucking time.
You walk outside and over to your taxi. Door, key, motor purring. You go back to work.
Cool. And that didn't cost me any money, so that was neat. Right, who else do we have? Oh, let's check out this newspaper, right?
You pull a newspaper out of your glove compartment and start leafing through it. Eventually, something grabs your eye. It's a rather positive critique of a bar called Solil's. You make note of the information with interest. In your line of work, that kind of thing can always come in handy. You turn the page and stop. You've read about a third of the newspaper.
Yeah, we'll stop reading for now.
You shut the paper. It'll end up in the trash tonight. If you remember, it's there. Otherwise, it'll spend the rest of its days in your glove compartment.
Okay. All sorts of people popping up. Anybody interest? Anything down here? No. Do we want to see Drunken Santa Claus? Or do we want to hang out with Avengers? So many people. This is a different robot. I saw a robot last time. That was fun. Who's this? Let's do this guy. I hope you didn't do Santa Claus. Okay, there we go. Nope.
You're driving along when a strange, burnt smell suddenly fills the cab. You look around, sniff. Is it coming from outside? Park. As soon as you see a free spot, you pull over and park. You freeze. Something, or someone, is in your taxi. A woman's voice resonates around the cab.
I can't. I need a better signal.
I'm here. You turn around slowly. A young woman has appeared behind you.
Don't shout. I'm afraid I'll lose the connection. I don't have much time.
There's something strange about her face. It's as if she's several different people at once.
Listen to me carefully. I come from the future, and you must know that you met...
She stops moving, like a computer glitch. She stays this way, still frozen. Then she suddenly starts moving again.
Where I come from, everything is in ruins. A virus has contaminated the majority of the population. Does the name Igoga mean anything to you?
You stare at her. Answer, or you don't have much time. The name doesn't ring a bell. Or maybe it does. Just vaguely. A cartoon, maybe? A manga? Say nothing. She looks at you. Listen, this all seems all crazy. But I need to tell you that. She sighs. I don't have much time left, but... She rolls her eyes. Hyoga is the leader of an extremely violent movement. Fascists. Fascists in suits. With tons of money and control of social media. In 2037, he decides to cleanse Europe, literally and figuratively. Her voice suddenly sounds far away. It crackles. Melanin evolution. We must. President of Iran. Hero. She vanishes at once, leaving behind a pungent, burnt smell. Your radio suddenly starts playing a strange song. It sounds like jazz, or something North African, played on a metal instrument. A second later, it's all over. The smell is gone. The music has stopped. All that's left is you and your monumental headache.
Well, isn't that just fun? Okay. Well, and Santa Claus isn't hanging out anymore. Tuesday Latin Quarter. We go with Miss Pettigin.
You park your taxi. You park your taxi in front of a very nice building. A few seconds go by. And a frail figure comes out of it. A few seconds go by.
Hold on. Struggle is real, folks.
A few seconds go by, and a frail figure comes out of a big cast iron door and over to the car. A boy, 10 years old at most, gets into the back seat. What exactly brings you here?
I'm going to Mass. Saint Julian du Pauvret Church.
He is serious and determined as he holds your gaze in the rearview mirror.
This kid's the judge, bro.
You start driving. His determination wavers.
You know where that is?
You smile. No worries. I know where it is. Aren't you a little young to be going to Mass so early in the morning? No answer. Do you go to the early Mass often?
Not really, but it's the best Mass.
Is that so? The boy's fidgeting in his seat.
The websites I looked at said it was the best one.
You've never been?
No, not yet, but I wanted to make sure that I chose the best one, so I looked online and...
You can tell he's uncomfortable. He seems to be getting more and more nervous.
I'm going for my mom.
Your mom?
She's sick. Since my dad died, she just cries all the time.
He stares at you in the rearview mirror. Sorry, I lost my dad too.
How old were you?
A little older than you.
Did you go to Mass?
You refrained from laughing. No, I didn't go to Mass.
Not even to Muslim Mass?
No, not even. I didn't need to. He thinks for a minute.
My mom, she needs it. She says she can't understand why God did this. So I looked up where the best Mass in Paris was so I could go ask God.
If the internet says it's the best place.
I think the Mass is given in Greek, and that's why it's always the best in Paris. I don't really know why.
Thanks, Pinterest.
Does that mean God speaks in Greek?
No idea.
I don't know why, but I thought taxi drivers knew everything.
About the city they work in, yeah, but about God? You pull up in front of the church.
Thank you, sir. I'd better hurry. It's about to start.
Good luck in there. He smiles. He has trouble opening the car door.
I'm not really sure it's luck that I'll need. I'm going to pray. I don't think it's about luck at all.
You watch him get out of the car and walk up to the church. He goes in alone, walking with intent. A few lone churchgoers are wandering about.
Poor kid. And now, am I going back home? Or am I... Because I don't have a lot of time. Let's listen to the radio for a minute. I fucked up doing it last time.
Your finger is poised in front of the car radio. You're trying to find something to listen to.
Listen to the news.
You happen upon the nighttime news, the nightmare news. It's all about the same. You learn that one of the recipients of this year's Fields Medal, a prize awarded for outstanding work in mathematics, is a French woman of Iranian descent. You hear her voice in a short clip and immediately recognize it as one of your passengers. Her name is Shoyure Privé.
Okay. Google to the rescue. Shore. Thank you, Farsi YouTube channel. Shore.
Age 33, on the spectrum and a mathematician. You can't help but smile, remembering when she rode in the back seat. As soon as the news is over, you turn the radio off so the cab is silent again.
And that took my time. Cool. Alright. You know more about your clients. I met Xavier again. I've met Perot. I did alright. Perot told you he was gay. So what does that do for our evidence?
You take a few minutes to update your board with your new clues.
Coffee for the routine.
The steps in the hallway. They stop in your front door, then move away. You take your shoes off before getting to work.
Okay. 420 blaze it. Oh, I have time to read 2 this time. Nice. Oh, because I think there was a photo last time. Alright. So we finished these reports. Organize the board. Okay. Wasn't that bad. Cool. So Hervé's wallet was stolen at some point. Does this update? Controller is breaking and entering. Yeah. I guess I just have to run into some of these people and get more shit. Okay, fair enough. I don't have anything new here, so on to the next day.
The phone rings and you jump. You're not used to hearing it. No one ever calls you. It must be Bousset. Pick up. You pick up. Bousset sounds irritated.
You there?
Yeah.
Listen, it's...
She pauses. You suddenly hear a ruckus in the background. Probably noise at the station. Bousset raises her voice.
Anyone got the time? Hey, guys, anyone? Fuck, they're all Neanderthals here. Listen, it's early and I'm wiped out. So are you, I bet. Let's get straight to the point. What do you have for me?
In a calm and methodical voice, you start giving her the evidence you've collected. You start with the first suspect, their connection to the victims, the rumors, then the second suspect, and so on. A few minutes in, she lets out a whistle.
Not bad. Seriously, you should come give a lesson to all the zombies I work with.
A long sigh.
I have some good news for you. We checked the alibi of one of the suspects I gave you.
As you listen to her, you turn to the board and pull down the suspect she's referring to.
So, it's gotta be someone else.
She snickers.
You know how lucky you are? I'm doing your job for you, pal. Okay, enough chit-chat. I gotta run. I'll call you in 3 days, okay? Nothing. I'll call you in 3 days, and you'd better have what I need to make a proper arrest. The DA has fangs. We're pretty sure he's gonna turn into a werewolf at some point.
She babbles on for a while. Her voice becomes softer, but just as sarcastic.
But that would explain his terrible breath. Okay, I'm out.
She hangs up. You hold the handset up to your ear for a while. You have just one thing in mind. Sleeping. And forgetting it all.
Okay. So Hervé. Okay, fair enough.
With a heavy hand, you wipe your tired face.
So that's one suspect dismissed. Okay.
You pull open the sofa bed, which unfolds with an unpleasant creak. You collapse onto the mattress. The events of the day run through your head. The streets, the passengers, their faces, their problems. Your brain is running at full speed. Your body aches and you're in pain. You can tell you need more sleep. You glance at your investigation board. It's slowly filling up. You wipe your hand over your face. It'll help to sleep some. It'll help sleep come. Your fingers are shaking. Stress, probably. You shake your head and your mind wanders for a second. Just when you're about to fall asleep, you think you hear a voice in the distance.
She's not telling the whole truth.
You jump, without understanding where the voice is coming from. Outside, Paris is waking up, and you fall asleep.
Who's not telling whom?
You open one eye. It's pitch black outside. Time for work. You get up quickly. And a few minutes later, you're outside of your studio.
Night 4. Okay. A few eyewitness things. Xavier. I'm enamored with Xavier. I don't know why. So we'll go to him first. Since we're becoming BFFs.
Out of nowhere, you hear a voice whispering in your ear.
This is where I died.
You brake hard. There's no noise in the cab. No noise outside. A silhouette appears out on the back seat of the cab. Its features appear one by one as if drawn by a paintbrush.
There is so much suffering.
You squint. A little boy.
Would you be so kind as to drive me?
Where?
Very well. Let us drive then.
The boy's silhouette flutters for a moment, then disappears entirely. You hold your breath. On the back seat behind you, the boy slowly reappears. You start driving.
Would you be so kind as to drive around this neighborhood for a bit?
Say nothing. The boy points outside.
Over there, the revolutionaries brought their little prince here on a cart. Over there, the crowd touched him, pushed him, made him change clothes. Over there, a woman he'd never seen before, who'd frightened him, gave him something to eat. He was scared, of course, terrified. People spit insults at any time he opened his mouth. Others incited violence.
His sentence hangs in the air. Everything okay?
Fine, thanks. I was thinking all about his mother, but it's of no matter at all. She had a face powder ordered from Austria. Her little one liked the smell. As you do.
At the very instant, your nose itches.
Let's no longer speak of it. He was an important one.
Your desire to sneeze appears as quickly as it had disappeared.
He lived in the street and suffered a great deal. He often coughed and was yelling and yelled at all the... He often coughed and was yelled at all the time by his small, frail body was shaking with a coughing fit.
Oh, laughed anytime. Oops.
The woman taking care of him called him Little Louise. He barely spoke. He was not allowed to go outside.
An odd smell fills the cab.
His life was reduced to a series of apartments, bedrooms, living rooms.
More of a perfume than a smell.
His life was reduced to presentations, low bows, strict rules that came out of nowhere.
Orange blossom. Your taxi suddenly smells of orange blossom.
His life was reduced to future promises, to when you grow ups, and...
You glance around, needlessly looking for the source of the smell.
At least I got to play in the dirt and the mud.
It's him. The little boy with a flickering frame smells of orange blossoms.
I don't pity him, but no one deserves to be punished for their brother's crimes.
Say nothing. I don't want to be shocking.
Right here.
He points to a house down the street.
Stop. It's right here. This is where Louis
17?
This is where Louis the 17th lives.
You pull over. Louis the 17th lives here. Why the fuck should I care? You turn around and the back seat is empty. You sneeze. All the anger you were just feeling has vanished. You avoid your own reflection in the rearview mirror.
Very interesting. Any suspects? No. Should I pick up a newspaper? Man. Okay, well that shit. Oh, that's right. Well, I guess let's just hang out with Tom Selleck over here.
I need a cab. Click. You pull up in front of the American Embassy. You can't recall ever picking up a customer here. They probably have a fleet of their own. Or in contact with a private company. The door opens. You take an immediate liking to the guy who gets in. You find him somehow reassuring, like a lost tourist. He babbles something in English. You have to listen hard to make out the address.
Oh, sorry. I'm just back in Paris. I forgot my manners.
He flashes you a sparkling smile. His voice is tinged with a slight American accent. You turn the key in the ignition.
Oh, thanks. What's your name, pal? He's not Canadian.
You're surprised to hear him use the familiar tu form straight off the bat. Hossein?
Nice to meet you, Hussein. Hussein? You know, it occurs to me that this is the first time this is the first time we've known this guy's fucking name, right?
He stares at you intently for a moment.
My name is,
He nods slowly, as if disheartened.
Oh, if I reveal my name, I'll be left with no other choice. I'll have to kill you. I went to go pee a second ago, thinking about what voice to use for this guy, which is kind of Midwestern. And his Tom Selleck looking ass is totally CIA.
He pauses, way too long to be joking. His face darkens. It's a different man on the seat behind you. And then, his face creases into a grin.
Hey, amigo, I'm joking. I work for the CIA, that's all. Gee, not much of a talker, are ya? Doesn't matter. I can talk for two, even three people. Do I have some stories for you, my friend?
A wave of sadness comes over your passenger. You can read it in his gestures, the look on his face. You cast a glance in the rearview mirror, trying to catch his eye. No luck. Is everything okay?
Same as always. I'm just starting to realize...
He bolts upright as if someone struck him on the back of the neck.
I don't have any children, amigo. But I've had some under my supervision. Kids. One of them is...
He stops short. He doesn't have to finish. You know where that sentence ends. You slump heavily against your seat and focus on the road, on automatic pilot, your mind a blank. What you would do for your if your children disappeared. Something awful. You can't even imagine. The wrenching sorrow of a parent who loses a child.
First time I saw him,
his voice has gone up a notch. You almost jump.
He was beating he was beating up a black market supplier. The guy had sold him some shoe polish that smelled like shit, and his business depended on American shoe polish. He was always stationed around Krakow Cloth Hall. The Poles call it Sukinis? Calling out to passersby at the top of his lungs.
His voice trails off.
Bogdan. He wasn't the first kid I supervised. It's just, there was something different about him. He caught on fast, amigo, know what I mean? He could think on his feet. He knew when to get tough and when to play dead. Bogdan was like a little Polish monkey. Smart, cunning, fearless, brave, A real comic book hero.
He breaks off again. You really cared for him?
A great deal. I think he reminded me of myself. I don't know where my accent is. Whatever. Alright, so CIA, I guess just general. We'll just do my fucking whatever. Like I said, amigo, I sensed it immediately. The first time I saw eyes on him, set eyes on him, and he was beating up a supplier. And I went over and handed him a Mars bar. That's what we always gave him back then. We had about 5 minutes for a serious talk before the sugar kicked in. That was back in '88. Poland was no longer part of the USSR. The Soviets had lost. What an amazing country, amigo. Have you ever been there?
Never.
That's too bad.
You arrive at your destination, a nondescript building all glass and metal.
Every person is unique.
Your passenger reaches into his pocket fishing for the fare.
Some are as cool as concrete, others fragile, like cut glass.
He pulls out a bill and hands it to you.
The poles are made of steel.
His voice falters. His eyes glaze over. I'm very sorry.
You know, amigo, I'm not just sad. I'm disappointed too.
Disappointed. He feels for something in his vest. The idea of having a gun gives you quite a start.
That kid entered my life like a jingle. You know what I mean?
He's struggling to find the right metaphor.
Life's like a radio. There are the songs, the interviews, the ads, the jingles. The jingles are short, but they stick in your head. You can't get rid of them.
You nod assent without thinking. Your client grins.
The police got him. I trained the kid. Then he went and got himself whacked. Through his own fault, too. I thought he was smarter. It's been 30 years, but Bogdan, whatever, that kid could have made something of himself. And he let himself get caught pickpocketing a couple of American tourists. Then made a run for it. Got shot in the back. Dumbass.
He opens the cab door. The cold air rushes in.
I taught that kid everything I knew. Everything. Well, so much for him. I like how he got out of the cab, or he's getting out of the cab, and yet we're driving in this scene.
He exits the cab. The door slams shut with a resounding echo. You sit stock still, taking in his parting words, and then you start up the cab. No better way to get your mind off things.
That's small. Whatever. Oh, Xavier. Right? Or is there anybody... I'm trying to see if there's just anybody, like, sticks out. Let's check out Xavier, and then we'll go for that evidence.
A bike courier rides by you, his backpack most likely filled with, well... You park in front of a large glass and metal building, as huge as it is generic. From your taxi, you can see the entrance, a large glass door, a very long reception desk, and a sleeping security guard. You look at the time. You glance at your gas and oil levels. Your finger lingers on the front of the radio.
Sure, let's turn the radio on.
You like what is playing on the first station that comes in. A thin voice is telling a nice story. Her rhymes are catastrophic. You're not a poet, but you guess each word before it comes. Who makes muse rhyme with amuse? Only then you realize you're tapping your foot to the beat of the song. You shake your head. Still no passenger in sight. You glance at the entrance. The guard is still there, fast asleep. He's so far gone, he's slowly slipping off his chair. ever so slowly,
Homeboy's a body.
before he slips onto the floor and still doesn't move. He's dead. A gunshot in the distance. Another. Then the crackle of a series of small explosions. Windows shatter. Your passenger finally appears, comes out of the glass door without a second thought and jumps in your cab.
Drive now.
Your adrenaline steps on the accelerator.
Go.
Fast. I'm doing what I can.
Faster. As fast as possible.
He lifts up his t-shirt to expose a shoulder bag he's wearing underneath.
It's a bomb.
He lowers his shirt.
Oh, jeez. Let's hear him out. Tonight, you and I are gonna save lives.
He is eerily calm.
Would you mind just...
He points a shaking finger at the radio. You turn it off immediately.
Thank you. I need a moment to think.
He lays his eyes on you, pauses, and, like an orphan who wants seconds, dares ask.
You happen to know where I can get rid of this thing?
You don't have a plan?
No. Well, yeah, I had a plan. Ask you to come pick me up and ask if you knew where I could get rid of this thing. Especially since it's going to explode, in just a few minutes.
How many?
I'd rather not say. Tell me now? 5 minutes.
You're quite certain your heart is currently beating at the same speed as the hummingbird's wings.
Or rather, in 5 minutes, 1 minute ago.
Or maybe it stopped beating.
But the good news is, I have an idea. The scene.
The scene?
If I throw a bomb in the scene, it won't hurt anyone.
You don't think twice and sharply turn toward the river.
How long till we get there?
It's gonna be tight.
Okay, I knew you were the right man for the job.
He tries to smile. Your reaction lets him know it's best to keep quiet. The light at the end of the street turns yellow.
Oh, run it.
You keep driving right through the red light. No other cars in sight. Just you. The guy in back. With a bomb.
That was daring.
You decide to leave it at that. The street you are on, it runs into an avenue. No light, no right of way. All good. But at the end, there's a light. It's green. For now. You put the pedal to the metal.
I wanted to thank you.
50 meters to go. Still green.
You've been an incredible partner to have.
25 meters. Still green. You drive full speed ahead onto the next street. In the back seat, you can hear your passenger's tiny voice.
You know where you're going?
We'll reach the riverbank in 20 seconds at most. You pass a bus in the night.
Whatever happens.
A bunch of drunk guys cross the street.
I want to say,
You swerve around them.
I think that after tonight,
One of them falls backwards.
I'm done with all this.
You didn't hit him. He just had too much to drink.
I'm gonna stop now.
One last turn of the wheel and you're on the quay. Brake pedal, handbrake, the back door opens and your passenger simultaneously takes an acrobatic leap out. He commando rolls and stands up in a straight stance like a baseball pitcher. He throws the bomb in the scene. You watch him climb back up. You hold your breath. The bomb touches the water. Half a second later, it explodes. A wave of muddy water pours onto the quay. Your car is now covered in brown splotches.
We had 1 second to go.
He offers his left hand.
You saved our lives.
I'm not sure that's true.
Oh, yes, it is. Listen, I've got to run. It's a bit complicated to explain why, but let's just say... This might seem weird, but the cops are corrupt to the core.
You try not to burst out laughing. I know. He smirks.
It's hard to tell with you. I never know whether you're going to be sarcastic or not. Here.
Another handshake. This time he slips you cash.
Good luck.
He starts running. In 3 strides, he crosses the deserted desert and disappears down an alley. You grin. A siren in the distance makes you raise your hand. You decide to clear out before the police start sticking their noses into your night.
$12, Xavier. Come on, man. And we helped you get rid of a bomb. I kind of want to learn about this fucking cat. But we said eyewitness. Let's find out about this cat.
You pull up to the sidewalk and wait for your passenger. Since it looks like a no-show, you get out of your cab and wait for a minute, or smoke. Since it looks like a no-show, you get out of the cab after a minute or two to smoke a cigarette. There's not much going on in this small town in the suburbs. There are a few apartments that still have lights on. A sweet scent hangs in the air. Eventually, you stub out your cigarette and get back in your car. You jump, startled. A cat has managed to slip into the back seat. It's sitting on the back seat, staring at you intently. You sit there for a moment, considering whether or not to shoo it away. But just as you're about to wave your hand, the cat shifts positions and a slip of paper falls from its collar.
Pick up the paper.
You pick up the piece of paper and unfold it. A fragment of a map of Paris, the Saint Lazare train station. You turn your eye slowly to the cat. He seems to be expecting an answer. Are you going somewhere? The cat tilts his head to the side as if to say yes. You want to go to Saint Lazare? The cat tilts his head again. Are you a dog? The cat slowly nods his head no. You clutch the steering wheel tightly. What the hell is going on? You turn to face the cat. Okay, fine. I'll take you. You let out a sigh. Okay, fine. You start talking to yourself in low tones, as if to balance the conversation. Normal. This is all perfectly normal. You start the cab, but cast a glance at the cat behind you. You're the one who ordered the cab? You start to laugh. A few minutes go by. You try to break the ice. Simple questions are probably the best. Everything okay? Neither a yes or no. More of a plaintive meow. Are you meeting someone? No, that's not it. The cat is staring at you. The conversation seems to bore him. You seem to be well fed. Pretty strange, I must say. Did someone hurt you? A plaintive meow. You sigh. Your owner? Another meow, but longer and deeper, more heartfelt. You nod your head. What happened? Was it a man? No answer. A woman? Was she mean to you? The cat seems to be uncertain. She was not around for you? The cat doesn't seem to understand. For instance, your owner is never home, you're bored, you want to spend more time playing. If cats could roll their eyes, he would have. Does she have other cats? The cat gives you a look of full disbelief. No, that's not it, huh? You're independent. You like to be alone, right? The cat doesn't seem to feel like talking anymore. He turns his head away, looks at the street, at the window. You're not far now. After the next light, you point to the light in the distance. That's Saint Lazare. We'll be there soon. A few yards later, you stop at the drop-off area in front of the station. The first train doesn't leave for another hour. Where are you going? The cat stares at you without making a noise. Let me guess. Saint Lazare. If you're going to the suburb of Paris, you wouldn't have needed to come into town. So, somewhere in the northwest of France. So, it's somewhere in the northwest of France. Brittany? Your passenger glares at you. Okay, right, not Brittany. The cat lets out a choppy meow. He gets out. He wants to get out. Give up. Okay, I won't bother you with all that. Was that a meow of thanks? You sigh. Okay, come on. It's time to say goodbye. You get out of the cab and open the back door. A bill has appeared in the seat next to the cat. It's enough for the fare. And more. Well, you are full of surprises, aren't you? I won't ask where it came from. You smile and lean over to pet the cat. It leaps out of the car and darts between your legs. You can just make out its shape dashing up a flight of stairs and slipping between the bars of a gate. You get back in the car. You look at yourself in the rearview mirror. Your features are heavy with fatigue. Your right eyelid is twitching. As you start the car, you remember you're allergic to cats. But you haven't sneezed once. You pull out of the station.
Interesting. And evidence.
You leave your taxi behind and walk towards the last victim's building. Charles Bougrand Ferrer. Charles Bougrand Ferrer was killed in his parking garage. The large metal garage door is firmly closed. You look for another entrance. You walk around to the back of the building and look for various entrances. The main one, the garage door, and the maintenance door for the trash cans.
What is it, like 3 at night, right?
You settle into a hiding spot. If a car goes in or out, you'll be able to sneak in without being seen. You grin and bear it. From time to time, you jump in place to warm yourself up. Your hiding place is probably the same one the killer used a few weeks ago. With each passing minute, you sense his presence until the garage door suddenly starts to shake. The metal slats start to rise. A car suddenly bursts through the garage. You take the opportunity to slip inside. Your eyes take a few seconds to adjust to the darkness. You head down the ramp onto the garage. There are about 30 spots, and almost all of them are full. The cars are very nice. Sedans, convertibles, and bright red cars. You're in a wealthy neighborhood. According to the police report, Charles Bougrand Ferrier was murdered right here, in this very empty parking spot. He used to be a notorious leader of the right-wing extremist party. When he was murdered at age 84, long after retiring from politics, it was a surprise for everyone. You light up the crime scene with the flashlight on your phone. There's still a brown stain on the wall in front of you. The message written in chalk has been washed off. The voice rings out in the garage.
Hey, what are you doing? This is private property.
You turn around and see a rather elderly gentleman, probably the concierge. He shines his flashlight in your direction. I'm lost.
Lost? I'm not a fucking idiot. Go! Get out of here, I'm calling the cops.
You walk back up the ramp towards the exit. The concierge opens the garage door. As you step outside, you hear the concierge say,
And if I see you lurking around here again, I'm calling the cops.
You make your way back to your cab. You glance back at the building. The furious concierge is gone. You settle in behind the wheel, short of breath.
Okay. I don't really need gas. Anyone of interest? Because I've kind of kept it local. Let's go here. Well, who's behind there? That's one thing I kind of wish you could say, you know, behind the things behind you. Whatever.
The police archives look like they're in another... The police archives look like any other building in Paris. No sign, nothing to make it stand out, but this is where all the case files and criminal records are stored. You know the place well. For several months you spent a lot of time with the woman who directs it. She was a regular passenger, calling upon you almost every night. First as a driver, and then you can see her shape from across the street. You try to prevent your brain from going there, but it has a mind of its own. She's as beautiful as ever. You get out of the cab. You cross over to the sidewalk onto the other side.
I'm not going to lie. I was surprised by your request.
She lights a cigarette. She still has that cold, distant look about her. But you know it's just a facade.
You don't smoke anymore?
You light a cigarette. That first waft of nicotine and gas from the lighter. Heaven. She runs a hand through her hair. Her wedding band shines out of the street lamp. You're freezing.
Listen, I'm not sure if you're allowed to give this kind of information. But if what you said is true, then...
You get the impression she's reaching for your side. Do you have any information for me?
Yes, Sally, of course. I fished around and the first 3 victims were not part of the data lake.
Shit.
Shit, indeed. That means the information about Bisson Bugron is the Argentinian one.
Gordisher.
That's right, Godashir. It all came from someone who had access to their criminal records. That help?
You nod. Bits of ash from your cigarette sprinkle onto your pants. You attempt to smile. Yes, it's better than nothing. A moment of silence. Helene takes a drag of her cigarette like there's no tomorrow. She paces a bit to warm herself up.
You should come over sometime. You know what I think? What do you think?
You grin. You and Helene used to sleep together when things with her husband weren't so good. Yeah, why not? Let me just finish all this.
Yes, of course. Give me a call when all this is over.
She looks deep into your eyes. You look down. Her hands are shaking. One last smile and she puts her cigarette out. You do the same.
I've got to run.
Need a taxi?
That's very kind of you, but Bruno's come to pick me up in a little while. I don't know.
Good luck. She reaches out to you affectionately, then stops. You decide to cross the street. You put some distance between... to put some distance between you and... You decide to cross the street. You decide to cross the street. To put some distance between you and... You decide to cross the street. To put some distance between you as quickly as possible. When you get to your cab, you hear her saying something. She's yelling from across the street.
Also, you should stop smoking. It's bad for your health.
You wave. She goes back into the archives. You get in your cab and rub your hands together. It's time to get back to your shift.
Well, let's get a newspaper. And see what's up. I don't really need the gas. Let us talk to the guy.
You walk into the mini-mart. The guy behind the counter doesn't even look at you when he starts in his lazy, lifeless tone.
Yep. One of these? One of these?
Perdu. Losing ticket. No luck.
Talk with the clerk.
Say, a guy like you, someone who spends most nights here, you would know. Say, a guy like you, someone who spends most nights here, you must know something about the killer, right? He raises his head and seems almost happy you brought it up. Not a word from the guy behind the counter. You, on the other hand, curse automatically as you put one foot out into the freezing cold.
What? But his head perked up. But I got evidence. Whatever. Yeah, I'm alright, I guess, right now. Let's read it. Unless there's somebody interesting. Because I guess Xavier, I guess, is done. And I guess these... Okay, I think I'm getting it. Maybe? Oh. This one seems important.
Your next passenger is your suspect, the retired policeman. Judging by his looks, you could have easily guessed.
Hospital San Luis, please.
You nod your head and start the engine. You glance at your passenger. The same expression, same clothes. Some things never change. He looks grumpy, in a bad mood. He's holding a cigarette between his fingers and almost broken it several times. Tough morning? He shrugs.
No more than usual.
His tone makes it clear. There's no room for discussion. You let it drop. A bit further, construction workers are bustling about, tearing down a storefront.
Oh, say. They're finally taking that down.
What was it before?
When I first came to Paris, it was a thrift store. You could buy paints just for a few francs. But for years, it's been a sex shop. One of the first in Paris, actually. I think they filmed some famous movie there.
He sighs.
Yeah, but that was all before the internet. Now online. Yeah, they're probably going to put in some cell phone shop, one that sells electronic cigarettes. Go figure.
He pauses. Your passenger turns around. He watches the building grow smaller as the taxi drives away.
I'm surprised it stayed open for so long. I mean, since that hostage situation, it must have attracted some shady fellas. The kind who like to jerk off with two cops that get taken out.
Two cops?
Yeah, they didn't talk about it much at the time, though. You'll understand why. We got this call from the neighbors of the sex shop. They couldn't stand the noise anymore. Day and night, people going in and out, almost all the time. They were quiet. Most of the time they were quiet, but there were always noisy ones. And the booths weren't soundproof. After a few months, the woman upstairs knew all the films. There was some high society types there. The shop had a few films for gay people, single women, the cream of the crop.
His attention is caught by something outside for a second.
Okay, so anyway, one evening, one of the neighbors takes his daddy's rifle from its wall mount and goes outside. He fires a warning shot that breaks part of the front window when he goes in. The guy had bloodshot eyes and was foaming from the mouth. He demanded the owner close the shop immediately. Said he wanted to sleep, cleanse the earth of these perverts. The fellow was basically having a psychotic episode in front of about 15 clients. We got there around 10 p.m. Evacuated the street, got the response team ready. Back then, it wasn't like it is today. You know, with the helmets and the tiny cameras and those little flying whatchamacallits.
Say nothing.
By all means, don't try to help. They're all kind of little planes. They're called drones. Yeah, that's it, drones. Yeah, so back then they didn't have any of that stuff. The plane would just go in and take pot shots at everyone. My chief, great guy, taught me everything I know. Well, almost everything. He took the megaphone and started talking to the hostage taker. Told him he needed to let the civilians go, or someone would get hurt and no one would want to get. He told them he needed to let the civilians go, or someone would get hurt. No one wanted anyone to get hurt. The hostage taker, okay, let me see. Hostage taker said, okay, let me see. I'll free the women first. Went back in, we got ready, put on the bulletproof vests, checked our weapons. It looked like we were getting ready for an old-style duel. What nobody knew was there was two fellow cops inside already in the crowd. They were not interested in being released. Since the hostage situation started, they've been trying to find a way to escape out the back.
He snickers.
They were ashamed to be there. They said to themselves that they could approach the hostage taker and He tell them they'd infiltrated the building before the police officially got there. But the guy with the rifles was not a newbie. He was a Boy Scout, and his father taught him how to fight. A dry laugh. His father fought the Nazis. Wanted to fight the hippies. Classic. You can see the two cops were a bit worked up, were speaking in hushed voices. So he pulls one of them aside and decides to let him go. The policeman flounders. He asked the hostage taker to let one of the four women out of the shop instead of him, but he won't have it. So there we were, when all of a sudden, out came Michelle, deputy chief of police. His shirt was untucked, and he had this stupid look on his face. And then, the guy behind me started to laugh. The hostage taker fired. For the first time in my life, I saw a skull from the inside. Brains and blood strewn all over the sidewalk. I tossed my cookies. I mean, hey, I'd only been on the force for 2 years, you understand? He sniffles. I wouldn't have changed places with the guy behind me who was laughing. We never knew who it was. There were a lot of rumors. Even ones saying it was me. He's silent for a moment. But it wasn't. I didn't know Michelle for starters. Well, not well anyway. He shrugs and falls silent again. You let a few seconds go by. What about the other cop? The other cop? The one who was still in the sex shop. He attacked the hostage taker from the shop. Another rifle shot and... Hey guys, I got cut off at the end of the last part, so this is a new day. Buy a new hat, because I can't remember where my other hat is. Let's continue. Alright, let's take a look at this newspaper we just recently picked up. You pull a newspaper out of your glove compartment and start leafing through it. Eventually, something grabs your eye. It's a rather enthusiastic article about a bar named Napo. You make note of the information with interest. In your line of work, that kind of thing always comes in handy. You turn the page and stop. You've read about a third of the newspaper. Keep reading. You stop reading and go back a few pages. You thought you saw something. It's quite involved article about the famous police leaks affair. Who, why, and how all that confidential data was released to the public. The Justice Department is now looking at the corrupt and violent cops who are known to be out of line. Concerned associations applaud how transparent they are being. Yet, the more you read, the more you get the impression the journalist does not agree with their methods. And just a little bit. You only have a third left to read. Let's read the whole thing. As soon as you get to the page, you stop. Your instinct tells you to look at. It's an article about the recent police leaks incident that retraces another data leak. 2 years ago, a bunch of confidential police documents were released accidentally. Documents about Ronan Besson, Charles Bougron, and Simon Gordeshirt, the judge's first 3 victims. Intriguing. You shut the paper. It'll end up in the trash tonight. If you remember, it's there. Otherwise, they'll spend the rest of the days in the glove compartment. Okay. Maybe I have just enough time to go get that evidence? From outside, the Mompar's gun store looks like any other shop. A plain, discreet front window, sliding doors. Inside they sell handguns, machine guns, knives, even grenades. It's the first time you've been here, but you've already had its owner... It's your first time here, but you've already had its owner in your cab. The store opens really early so that patrons can come and train at the shooting range. As you walk up to the corner, you hear the distant noise of gunshots under your feet. It's an unsettling experience. Can I help you? It's the owner speaking, an older woman with a hunched back. She's been selling weapons since the 70s. She's cheeky in a typically Parisian way, and her wrinkles carve craters across her face.
Ah, it's you. It's been ages. Come closer. You make small talk and eventually decide to go for it. I have a question for you. About a weapon. You slide the photo of the shell across the counter. She looks slowly up at you.
Where is the photo from?
She's been doing this for years, and you doubt you can pull one over on her.
Yeah, photographer friend. Yeah, right. Get the fuck out of here. Fuck.
You recoil at the bitterness in her voice. Listen, I'm just looking for more information about this shell.
I don't talk to filthy liars like you. Get out.
She points to the door. The police gave it to me.
Yeah, and just how did you end up with the police photos?
I'm helping them out. You know perfectly well this lady never smiles, but something on her face shifts ever so slightly into what might be construed as a small grin.
I'm not surprised. You're always the type to want to help people out.
She practically rips the photo of it out of your hands. You give her as many details as you can. She thinks for a while. The shop doors open and a woman, probably a cop from her appearance, comes in, greets the owner, and disappears downstairs. When she opens the door, it creaks and the smell of gunpowder seeps through the shop.
It's funny. It doesn't fit with what you've told me. The shell is in perfect shape, and you told me the bullets are also completely clean. But it's old ammo, you can tell. There are no scratches, but there are a few oxidation stains, and
her voice grows darker, and all of a sudden, like something had escaped from her.
In my opinion, it is from an old weapon, perfectly maintained, by someone who knew what they were doing. In light of what you told me, I'd say it belonged to a cop or a soldier. It could be a family weapon. It was a police service pistol in the 70s. Either a cop held onto it or a guy looking for it inherited it. That judge there, he's a pro.
You raise her head and meet her gaze. Her old bones make that slight shift again, the one that could be construed as a smile.
Or she, actually. You know, lots of women shoot, and I give classes if you have any lady friends who are interested.
Back in your cab. You glance at the back of the shop. You don't know how this woman knew that. Anyway, you start your taxi. You have what you need to move forward with your investigation, and a coupon for a class on shooting automatic weapons.
You've discovered 10% of the Passadex. Alright. And now we go home to check on this, evidence. There we go. Wow. I know who little Louis is. I met Ada, but I met Ada before, so it's weird that it's popping up now. I helped Xavier, which he's apparently done now, I guess. He might show up one more time.
You take a few minutes to update your board with your new clues. A bus goes by, making the walls shake. You take off your shoes before getting to work.
Okay, and that's right, we lost or not lost, but we got rid of a suspect. Do I have anything new here? No. And then the, Detective Bousset should be calling me within the next day or two. Alright, un momento, por favor. Okay, so this is what we've got so far, and things are not looking good for Paul-Marie Fragron over here. He's a retired cop, joined the police in 77, divorced from a judge. Born in the French Antilles, moved to the mainland France in 76. Okay. And he was a cop, but not in the 70s. And we just got that stuff from the gun shop lady. So far, Paul Murray has the most compelling evidence. I've got to look for him. I think he's the only one. Have I seen Salim yet? I don't think so. So I think I'm going to end this video here, and then we'll pick up on night 5 in the next one. I'm excited. This is getting deeper and deeper, and there are all these other little extra things like ghosts and shit. Oh man, this is a cool game. I'm really enjoying this. So I will see you guys in the next video. I've been Richard. Class dismissed.